right now, right now. Hector Lombard, Jake Shields. I am so happy Hector Lombard won. I really wanted him to knock him out because I do not like Jake Shields. But I understand wanting to. He was a little bit safer and smarter in his fighting, and I think that's smart in general. But I understand why you'd want to do that with Jake Shields. You can't overcommit to anything because Jake Shields will catch you. So I was very happy about that. I don't think Shields won that Damian Maya. Oh no, not that fight. What was the fight that I had a hard time with? The Damian Maya fight. I remember liking it, and I don't remember who I thought won now. I remember enjoying it though, and that's one of the few fights I've seen Jake Shields do recently that was fun because he couldn't, you know, just do nothing. They're both too high level to just sit there. But anyway, I was really happy Hector Lombard won. Miles Jury and Vitor Jr. Here's the deal: Miles Jury is a good fighter, and yeah, I like him. I want to like Diego Sanchez. I do. He's fucking. He came off to me, a little bit weird, but he came off pretty good on the show, if I remember correctly. He wasn't like super douche or anything like that, like Koscheck. Koscheck was a dick. I couldn't stand Koscheck. Still don't like Koscheck. Yeah, Diego Sanchez, if I remember correctly, came off pretty well. He's usually in fun fights, but first of all, it's really hard. Oh, speaking of this, by the way, let me go back to that Campazano-Scoggins fight. Why did Scoggins? Scoggins was a good fighter. It was, he did a really good job. He's got a tattoo of his name on his back. Why? Like, if you do that, like, that's just silly. So I was wanting him to lose just because of that too. But then I don't know how many people caught it, but at the end of the fight, he was in top position, and fight ended. And when he stood up, he pushed Will Campazano's head. That was a dick move. I didn't like that either. I don't like stuff like that. I think it's just dickish. But anyway, getting back to Diego Sanchez. It's hard for me to like the guy because he just takes himself so seriously now. I mean, just the faces alone that he's making when at the weigh-ins, or hell, I remember what was it, BJ Penn? Started off first round, he just looked all angry. Second round, he had a couple lumps. And as the rounds progressed, they would keep showing his face, and it just got worse and worse every round. So, I like him, but he's probably due, whether he has problems with beef tartare with, what the fuck was it, raw quail eggs? I don't know. He should be done, food poisoning or not, because I don't know how I feel about that one. Tyron Woodley, Carlos Condit. That kind of sucked. I like Carlos Condit. He's a fun fighter, and that was a tough one. Man, that fucking view they showed of his leg on the one that he was done on, when Tyron Woodley kicked his leg, Condit bounced off of it and landed on the bad leg, and I only saw it once. They had that little canvas view which showed like you could see the knee bend, like in a way it bowed, and it's not supposed to do that. That was tough. So I was sad to see it in that way. Tyron Woodley is he's pulling some things together, and he's huge for that weight division, or at least he looks huge. Maybe that's just my eyes, but he's a big motherfucker for 170. But I think he's calling for a title shot and all these things. Look, I'm also, and we already talked about Hendricks and Lawler. I also fully believe that Lawler should rematch. It's not because I think he was robbed so badly or anything else. I'm tired of long waits in between title fights. Now I understand Johnny Hendricks is out and needs to have surgery, so that changes it a bit. He can't come back. I'd like to see him come back and fight in three, maybe 4 months. I don't like the 6-month off shit. Because you have a fight, just because Robbie Lawler lost doesn't mean he isn't still the number one contender. I don't think Tyron Woodley's done enough in that division to grant a title shot. Maybe I should look and see who he's beat, but I just don't see it happening. Jake Shields is out now. Hector Lombard, he hasn't done enough to earn a title shot. So you got to look at who these people have fought. Um, and I just don't see it. So, but now that he's out, what, 6, 8, 10 months, however long it's going to take for him to. Sorry, I was trying to find Tyron Woodley shit. So he beat Carlos Condit, yeah. Beat Josh Koscheck. He's kind of old. Lost to Jake Shields, who I think is overrated. That was a split decision. That might have been the one that I was talking about earlier. It might have been the Tyron Woodley based on time frame I see here. That's the one where I think Jake Shields just got lucky. And all those fucking the scrap pack, they all get lucky on their fucking decisions, and then they go and bitch about stuff. But anyway, I don't think Tyron Woodley's done enough. I'd like to see him do more. I know, yeah, I forgot he was the Strikeforce welterweight champion from that last event. So sure, that's going to add some things, but I want to see him fight more people. But he's up there. Maybe what they'll do is they'll do Tyron Woodley and Robbie Lawler. That will probably end in a knockout. Of course, probably everybody said that shit about the fight last week, and it didn't. Damn good fight. I'm glad it wasn't a boring, WrestleFest. But yeah, so Johnny Hendricks is out for X amount of time, so they'll probably do, I would imagine, Tyron Woodley and Robbie Lawler. I don't think they've announced anything. Hector Lombard, I would have loved to have seen him fight Tyron Woodley. But he's going to have to stay busy with someone else. I don't know who I'd put him in with. I'm trying to think who's due in that division. I don't fucking know. I can't think of who's off right now, so I'm gonna blank on that one. Maybe we'll talk about that next weekend. But anyway, there you go. That's what I got right now. Now getting down to tomorrow's fights, because we do have fights tomorrow, which is a little bit different. Maybe they're going to be changing this to something normal. I'm not sure, because there's another one that they have scheduled in July. So I'm not sure where they're going with it, but it's, what is it? The Fight Pass prelims, I think, start at 4 o'clock Eastern, and then Fox Sports card starts at 5. Main card starts at 7. So there's some fights on tomorrow. And they're from Brazil. Let's see, who's on there? Fight Pass. Godofredo Castro and Noed Lahat. I don't remember Godofredo Castro. I recognize the name, so I've probably seen him, I just don't remember him. And I have no clue who the fuck Noed Lahat is. So I'm going to go Castro, because I don't know, maybe he's related to Fidel, and Fidel made some calls and was like, hey, fucker, you're going to lose. Light heavyweight, Francomar Barroso and Hans Stringer. Don't know. I mean, if I'm going off of names, first names, Francomar sounds a little fancy. Hans sounds, that's like a diehard bad guy. So Hans wins. If I go off of last names, Barroso and Stringer, I don't know. I'm going with Hans Stringer, who's got to be like German or some shit like that. So Hans Stringer. Now, prelim card. Thiago Perpetuo and Kenny Robertson. Don't recognize him. Kenny Robertson, name is familiar. I don't recognize Thiago Perpetuo. So we'll go with Kenny Robertson because I recognize his name. And that means he's better, right? Because that's how shit works, I think. Pretty sure that's how it works. Let's see here. Jussier Formega and Scott Jorgensen. Let me ask a question about Scott Jorgensen. Maybe someone at home can answer. I don't know. What happened to his skin? He had that skin pigmentation issue. I'm going to take a drink. Hold on one second. He had that skin pigmentation issue, and then all of a sudden, all his skin was white, and there was no talk about it. I didn't hear Joe Rogan's, because Joe Rogan would comment on his skin before, and that's how I found out about it, is from the commentary. He had that pigmentation issue. I think it was the same one Michael Jackson had, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's fucking albino white, and there's no anything. Like, I would have thought it would have been a good, he went through this procedure. Maybe there's someone with the same problem and wants to do what he did. Talk about it. It's helpful to people. So I don't know what happened there. But anyway, back to the fight. Yeah, I'm going with Scott Jorgensen. I like Scott Jorgensen. I hope he wins. Honey Marks and Thiago Santos. I don't know who the fuck Thiago Santos is. Honey Marks, I know the name. I can't see his face. And look, here's the deal, by the way. It's not that I just watch like fights hardly. I watch every fight there is. I'm really bad with names. I need pictures. Names just they don't work for me. I forget people's names that I meet all the time, but I remember them and I recognize them. I just don't. I'm bad with names. So anyway, I don't know who Honey Marquez is, but someone missed weight. I don't see who, but I do see that it's a catch weight at 190. So I don't know which one came over heavy, and I don't know which one to root for. So I'm gonna say the heavy one because something probably happened during fight camp. So that's my official pick. Whoever weighed in heavy is the one that I say is gonna win. Okay. Diego Brandao and Will Chope. I don't know who Will Chope is. I know Diego Brandao. I remember him from he was on one of the toughs. It might have been the live one with Chiesa. I don't remember, but he was kind of a mess. Um, and he seemed like a nice enough guy usually, but then he turned into like a dick. Like for no reason. He was just kind of a little bit of a mess. And now he shaves his head and he looks all scary and weird, and he's like a Diego Sanchez. Like his intensity is just I don't want to. I want to see. I don't know. I want to see relax. I don't want to see. I'm looking at you like I'm going to murder you, and then you might come out and get your ass beat tomorrow. I'm not into that. Um, but I'm going to go with Diego Brando because I have seen him fight, handful of times at this point, and I don't know who Will Chope is. Honey Jason and Steven Seiler. Um, I remember Ronnie Jason's name, and I think actually Bruce Buffer pronounced it Ronnie Jason. He didn't pronounce it with an H, if I remember correctly. But I recognize his name. Um, Steven Seiler, I know, and I'm going Steven Seiler. Michael Prazeres and Marabek Tesumov. Don't know either of those guys. Uh, I'm going to go with the guy who sounds Russian, or from somewhere the fuck over there. Tesumov. Fabio Maldonado and Gian Vellante. I actually like that fight, and I recognize both of those guys. I'll go Fabio. Not just because his hair is so good, and not just because I used to be really good friends with a Maldonado when I was younger. No, I'm going to go Fabiano Maldonado. Um, I think he's at this point he's getting better, and at this point he's improved a lot. And this fight, let me see here. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm not talking out of my ass too. Yeah, I mean he's coming off of 2 wins. Joey Beltran lost to Glover, and it was a doctor stoppage. I don't remember that fight. I'm not going to pretend to remember it, but it wasn't like a knockout or anything. The doctor stopped it, so it was a cut. Usually means he was losing, but really not always, because cuts happen. Lost to Igor Prokoyak and lost to Kingsbury. Beat James McSweeney. Yeah, I mean he's doing pretty good. Let me look at least I was right, and I was remembering who the fuck he was correctly. Jean Vellante. Let me look at his shit too. Down. Holy shit, I gotta go down so much. Lost to Oven St. Preux, which I think everybody's doing these days. Beat Cody Donovan. I don't know who Cody Donovan is. I don't even recognize the name. Maybe that was one of his first fights in the UFC. Now I gotta click on him to see if I'm just a douchebag. Let's see here. Cody Donovan. Down. No, 3 fights in the UFC. He's 1 and 2, and probably not with the company anymore. Yeah, he's probably done. But anyway, I'm going to hold tight at Fabio Maldonado. Leonardo Santos and Norman Park. I don't remember Leonardo Santos. Let me see Norman Park. Let me see what Norman Park looks like. Norman Park. See, this is the shit that I would do normally when Diver's talking, and then you don't know that I'm looking at people's pictures. It would help if I spelled his name right. Parkmma. Although I think there's an E. Yeah, there's the E. Stormin Norman Park. Oh, I recognize him. I think he was on Tough. Did he win Tough? Is that why the fuck I know his name? Hold on a second. Let me see here. Did he win a Tough? I think he might have won a Tough. He was a competitor for Tough the Smashes. So he won the lightweight tournament. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, I right. See, when I see the face, I recognize some of these motherfuckers. All right, I know who the fuck it is now. So I'm going with Park. Yeah, we're gonna go Park. Who else is fighting? They're really stacking it with people we know, and I understand that I probably recognize more of these people that I know just based off of what their faces would look like. But maybe I'll get into that in a second. Cesar Ferreira and CB Dollaway. I don't even care who is fighting CB Dollaway. It doesn't matter to me. I hope CB Dollaway gets his ass beat. I don't like CB Dollaway. I didn't like him on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't like him in fighting. I don't like him. He's a dick. Is he a good fighter? Yeah, I'll give you. He's a pretty okay fighter. He pulls off some nice shit, but he's a dick. Like why? He's a dick, and he looks like a dick. Like if you look at him, he just looks like a dick. His face. If I saw that person, if I needed help, and I saw him, and I saw who do people think is scary, and I saw the Undertaker. And it was a life or death thing that I needed help on, I would ask the Undertaker, because the Undertaker looks like a nicer person than the fucking CB Dollaway. Sorry, I got mixed up because my phone went off and I don't know why. I'm getting message. For some reason I can only pull up videos from the MMA Enthusiast, who we'll be discussing later tonight too. I don't fucking know what that means. I don't really know the site. So when you do hear this, I don't know how to help you. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I have no clue why you can only pull up videos. Hopefully you can figure out, I guess. Hopefully. Yeah, I don't know what to say. But anyway, CB Dollaway is a dick. He's a smug dick. So I hope he loses. I don't like him in the UFC. I don't like him doing anything like that. So I hope he's gone very soon. Why did it just say... Did I get cut off? No, we're recording. Okay. Well, this is why I recorded as a backup. So if we do get cut off, the whole thing goes on to YouTube. But anyway, yeah, we're broadcasting. It said we weren't broadcasting for a minute. I thought I was going to have to go medieval on somebody. So I'm going for Cesar Ferreira. I'm not even going to discuss anything else. CB Dollaway is a dick, and I hope he loses. Mauricio Hua, Dan Henderson. Don't need to look either of these guys up. And I'm sure we all remember the fight of the world, like the century, whatever you want to call it. It was a hell of a fight. That first one was just a ridiculous fight. If I remember correctly, it was the first 5-round main event. No one knew if it was going to be good or bad, because really with those two, and I understand they're great, but still they've both had their fair share of boring fights. That was just a fun fight. What a crazy fucking fight that was. And I believe Henderson won that. And I say that because my dad actually told me that. He just watched it. I thought Hua won that off the top of my head. And he had just watched it on, I don't know, Fox Sports 1, I guess. And he'd never seen it before. And he was like, wow, that was a crazy fight. And he told me Henderson won. So I'm going to assume that my dad is not completely crazy and can still handle saying who won or who lost the fight. But that was just a great fight and a lot of fun to watch. And that's easily top 10. I'd say top 3. Might be number 1, but it's definitely up there in top 3. Maybe there's so many fucking fights. Think about it, folks. You don't realize how many fights that you've seen. And I say this because I'm working on something, and I do realize how many fights we've seen, and it's a lot. So when you realize how many fights there are, I want to think about it before I say, oh, it's the number one fight there is. Because while it probably is, who knows? So now this fight, hold on one second. Little 10-second intermission. I'm just doing that so you guys have something to listen to. A little elevator music. Oh, okay. So, the fight now. Alright. Obviously, they're both legends, Hall of Famers, okay? I mean, they've put in some work. And you can say what you want about the Pride fights being fixed into work, and I understand it. And I believe it, and I know it. There were some fights that were fake in Pride. The outcomes were predetermined. It's like wrestling. It was a work. But they still, not all of them were. And they had some battles, and they were fun battles to watch. And they've both done better than maybe anybody who came over from Pride. I mean, you know, when you think about it, everyone talked about how Pride fighters were the best. And look, I was on that bandwagon for a while too. Oh, the Pride fighters as a whole are better than the UFC fighters, blah, blah, blah. Well, then the Pride fighters get a chance to prove it. And really, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who came to the UFC from Pride and did as well as they did. I mean, they've been doing great. I mean, hell, interim champion, who was a champion. I think Dan Henderson was an interim champion. Maybe he lost that fight. Maybe I'm making it up because my mind isn't 100% right. But I know Hua was a champion because John Jones beat Hua for his championship. So certainly those are the, in my opinion anyway, and the only thing I can think of right now, those are the best guys who've come over from Pride. And right now where they are, you know, Hua's coming off of, who did Hua just beat? Hua lost to Chael, which was a big win for Chael, and an interesting loss for Hua. We weren't doing, you know, the show at that time, but it was an interesting loss for Hua for me because Hua's kind of in that where do I go area, at least in my opinion right now. You know, is it time to hang it up? Does he still have some fights left in him? If he beats Dan Henderson, which I think he will, then that's going to really only extend it to me because I think Dan Henderson should probably really think about hanging it up. I love watching him fight, but some of these guys who are fun to watch fight when they get a little bit older, it doesn't work for their careers. And I would rather see Henderson go out on top, or at least close to the top. And shit, he's on what, a 3-fight losing streak, I think, right now? Let me see that real quick. He's not lighting up. Yeah, 3-fight losing streak. Machida, Rashad, and Belfort. And shit, when's the last time you remember Dan Henderson getting knocked out? When is his last knockout? Because Belfort knocked his ass out. When's the last time? Has he been knocked out? Was that his first knockout? Maybe that was his first knockout. You know what? I think it is. I'm still looking, but I think it is his first knockout. Alright, shit, yeah, there it is. That's his first knockout. So that's a big sign. I also think Anderson Silva should retire. That's way off topic, but the fact of the matter is, he entertained us for a lot of years. He was absolutely phenomenal, and he took a minimum amount of damage. I can't think of a fighter who hasn't been damaged, who has been damaged less than Anderson Silva. Um, he just didn't, and he lost to Weidman twice. And the first one, even I was like, I'm not saying Weidman isn't good. I don't believe in lucky punches or anything like that. That I don't believe in it. Any punch you get, these guys are professionals. They train really hard for that punch. That's a lot of work and effort that goes into that. So it's not only that they've been drilling those punches, their reflexes are honed in, things like that. That was training. That wasn't luck. So I don't believe in that. But I think Anderson should stop. He was, basically pummeled in the first fight, but in the second fight he was dominated. And forgetting about his leg, which I don't know that him testing that is a really good idea, he had a flash knockout too. That's the second time Chris Weidman has knocked him out with a punch. Stop. You know what? You're fucking awesome. You are. I do not believe that Fedor is the greatest of all time. That's another one that a lot of people who aren't related to Fedor will get really pissed off at you about. I don't get it. I understand he was great, and I'd put him right now. I put him at 2 or 3. You can't rule out Royce just for what he did in the first few fights, because fighting was different back then. That really was more like who's the best fighter. So Royce has to have a place, I think, in the top. At least top 5. But the other thing is John Jones is creeping up there, and I don't think John Jones is going anywhere. Even with a loss to Gustafsson, I think Gustafsson is the only guy in the 205 division who can beat John Jones. I do not think that Gustafsson can beat everybody else, but I think he's the only one to beat John Jones. And I thought that way before they fought. And I thought that John Jones lost that fight. I think Gustafsson won, and he was robbed. And he got robbed out of a rematch because John Jones is a bitch. We're way off topic now, but John Jones is, creeping up there. You can't take away the things that he's done, the people he's knocked out, the fashion in which he did it. And my problem with Fedor being up there is, while Fedor did, you can't go off of his win streak. When I say go off, I mean you can't stray away from it. His win streak speaks for itself. He won a lot of fights, but he won fights against people who were not as highly ranked in his division as Anderson Silva was. Anderson Silva fought top guys pretty much all the time. That says something. So there's that. I'm not going to think about the Pride fixed fights, because there are a lot of people who think Fedor's fights were fixed. And that was the Yakuza doing that because they wanted, the guy who is just seen as the best in the world to help prevent UFC from getting bigger. They were trying to compete with him. So there's things that you can say that negate it even more. I'm not going to. I just don't think that Fedor... Oh, and the other thing, not only did Fedor not beat the top there is, we're talking about a guy who beat Hongman Choi, okay? Hongman Choi is, sure, a big dude, but come on, it's not going to work. The thing about it, and shit, you can see it in that Hongman Choi fight, because I remember that post-fight interview. He had bruises on his face from Hongman Choi's punches. Fedor took a lot of damage to get some of those wins, and that's a big thing to me. Anderson Silva took very little damage in his career. He's evasive. Lyoto's going to be up there too, although Lyoto's taken more because he's been hit a few times, but that's my thing about Fedor. So for the fight tomorrow night for the main event, I'm going Rua. I think if Rua wins, Henderson should retire, but he'll probably do one more. And if Rua loses, Henderson will keep fighting because he just signed like a 6-fight deal. I think it was a 6-fight. It might have been 8, but he just signed a new deal, I believe, and I think this is his first fight on that contract. And Rua's going to go back to wondering what he's supposed to do. because his even though he's young, I think he's only like 34. His fight age is older than a 34. Well, shit. You know what? When I think about it, we're getting past that point where you can say that. There was a period where you could say you were 34 and you might have had a young fight age, but most people, maybe Cormier, who's getting up there, maybe he hasn't had a long fight age. But I don't know. Maybe I can't say that. His fight age is kind of old because he's been fighting for a while. Um, yeah, I might step away from that. Hua might have to think about retiring because if he loses his last shot of a title contention are probably gone. Will he quit fighting? I don't know. Probably not. A lot of these guys, and Chael said he'll probably be one of them. They fight long after they, should be retiring because they just have too much fun. They enjoy it too much. The competition. Some people like the money. Some people like the attention. I just said that. Some people like the attention they get and things like that. I don't know. But I think it's hard to leave sometimes when you're a fighter. You get used to it, and that's just part of your life. You get to travel and go places and shit like that. So I'm sure it's harder than most people realize. But at some point, you got to stop. And I don't know when that point's going to be. So I'm going Hua. And that's those are my picks. That's who I got for this shit. So we will. I don't think I have anything else to say. MMA Enthusiast is not dead. I know there was a notice that went out that he cut his wrists. This wasn't a full show, and he cut it across. He didn't cut it lengthwise. So he's really just looking for attention now. Maybe next time the little fucker will get it right. So he'll be out of the hospital tomorrow, back on his meds, although he'll wean himself off because he thinks he's all better now, and we'll see what happens next week. I don't know. I think that's it. I don't know how long of a show this was. It had to have been really short though. How long has it been? Holy shit, I've talked for 37 minutes? Oh, that's fucking scary. I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't mean... Well, maybe this is good for, this could be sleep medication. Maybe those are some pills people should try. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of... I really can't... I don't know what the fuck Joy Psycho and MMA Enthusiasts were talking about today. No fucking clue. I couldn't keep up with it all. I have no clue. There was a lot of back and forth. I think I got called a woman. What else did I get called? I got called a lot of names, which was uncalled for. I definitely did not appreciate it. But what am I going to do? I have no fucking choice in the matter. But yeah, I couldn't keep up with it. It was... I was supposed to go for a walk with my dog, and then somehow we wound up doing mulch all day. I'm not really sure what happened, but somehow that's how it worked. And then then I went to Popeyes, which I still have in front of me. I will be digging into that. No, later I'll finish that up. But yeah, then I did that, and my dog is passed out asleep because she was running pretty much all day, and just playing with the other dogs. And I don't know if she's gonna move till tomorrow. Yeah, I don't. I'm. Hold on one second. Cigar break, ladies and gentlemen. That's all this is. Cigar break. Yeah, only the best cigars. I remember my buddies when I was a kid, they smoked cigarettes and they were like Spanish and they go, "Cigarette? Okay." Which really means nothing to you, but it's a flashback that I'm sharing with you. No, not a flashback. Is it a flashback? It's a memory. It'd be more of a memory. But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's really anything. I got nothing. So I think we're done, and I'm gonna go watch a movie or jump on Grand Theft Auto or jump on Battlefield 4. I don't know which one, but I'm gonna go do one of those things and fucking call it a day. I think. I don't know. Yeah, so the fights, I guess I'll have to check out.
Now, movement is 2 times more comfortable with new Move Free Ultra Omega, a powerful Omega.
Ooh, I gotta go there. There, I muted it. I was trying to be all slick and pull up the outro song, and it played a stupid fucking ad because YouTube sucks. And yes, I remember when YouTube didn't have advertising. It was amazing. You just went to a video and it played. I also remember when YouTube didn't buffer you. It just like limits you on your buffering. It just buffered the entire thing and then you could play it. And it was great because sometimes their buffering sucks. But now I'm getting onto a YouTube issue. And I don't need to do a YouTube issue because I don't really have a problem with YouTube. But yeah, that threw me off. Now I'm on. 4 p.m. Right, I was right. So we just went through like 2 minutes of me rambling and looking for things, um, just so I can tell you the information that I have or had used is accurate. Um, so, yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, Fight Pass at 4, prelims on Fox Sports 1 at 5, and main card at 7. And I don't know. Enjoy watching. Oh, so here's my theory on this, and I'll put this out there real quick, then I'll stop. Let's play one more outro song. I hope these come through too, because I've been having issues I'm noticing with videos. Anyway, Tough 18, or I'm sorry, Tough Brazil 3. Yep, I'm good. Tough Brazil 3. Vanderlei Silva has still not signed a contract. Chael gave him 10 days, which means he's got some kind of a deadline. I'm guessing it's either Sunday or Monday. I haven't done the math. Or he's going to release some terrible. Still getting hit. I mean, he's only got so many years left. He might be one of the oldest. Him and Rampage are probably the oldest fight age fighters out there. I mean, fucking Vitor doesn't have the fight age that Vanderlei Silva does. Although Vitor's younger, of course he doesn't have that fight age. Um, who should I? Maybe I shouldn't think of anything because people want this show to end. Anyway, Dana could make an example out of him, and it would work. I'm tired of this bullshit. You fight who the people say you fight. I'm so tired of the fighters having so much control over this, that, and the other. And Vanderlei coming out, and maybe it was edited that way. Who knows? But Vanderlei came out like a little bitch on that second episode of Tough Brazil. I mean, just a little bitch. So perfect person to make an example out of. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, the thing of it is, Dana White usually talks about things like this. I mean, he said before why he couldn't get the Vanderlei fight signed with Chael. I think it was Chael. And he was saying Vanderlei wanted pay-per-view points, and Dana White said you're not going to get pay-per-view points. Dana White is usually pretty open, and I really think he should be, not because I think fighter pay needs to be visible by everybody, but because some of these fighters talk about, oh yeah, I'll fight anybody, I'll do this, but behind closed doors they don't do things like sign the contract. So I'm tired of fighters having control over who they fight. I mean, Johnny Bones is the reason that there wasn't an Alexander Gustafsson 2 right away, because he said, no, I'm not going to fight him. Yeah, Anderson Silva wouldn't fight Chael for that rematch right away. He said, no, Chael's, he's got to fight somebody. He's not ready for me yet. He hasn't proved himself. So I don't like that kind of stuff. I think it's just, if Dana White says you're fighting this person, then you're fighting this person. That's all there is to it. Fucking get over it. So, holy shit, we went through another song. You know what, we'll do this one. This is the last one because I'm about to stop talking. And let's see if I can get away without a... Nope, there's a commercial, so I muted it. See? Got it that time. And but anyway, I think it's odd that Dana White isn't saying anything about it. Vandelay isn't saying anything about it, and I think word on the street pointed it out. Maybe it was Front Row Brian. I don't remember. Someone pointed it out and was like, Vanderlei is not that hard to get anything from. Why is there no comment from him on this contract business? I mean, just call him up. He's easy to hear. Well, really, if there's a contract dispute, that's why I like the public stuff. Vanderlei should be coming to the public and saying, yeah, I'm not fighting this contract because UFC won't let me do this, and UFC is wrong. But he's not. And neither is the UFC for that matter. I just think it's interesting. And if something happened on the show that they couldn't let out for production reasons, which I understand, that makes sense. So, all right.